Ahead on OU Nightly, an investigation in our nation's capital after a passenger plane and military chopper collide, killing dozens. What we know this evening. In the city of Norman, at the center of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, we are talking with a city council member coming up on OU Nightly.
And big changes are on their way from the cool and damp conditions we've been seeing. I'll tell you just how much will warm up and how long it'll last. This is OU Nightly.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Abby Hollinsworth.
And I'm Hallie McPherson. We begin tonight with the devastating news out of Washington, D.C. 67 people dead after an Army helicopter and a passenger jet collided last night.
CNN's Brian Abel has more details on that crash and what officials are saying went wrong.
American Airlines says Flight 5342 from Wichita, operated by PSA, was on approach to land at Reagan National Airport when it and an Army Black Hawk helicopter from the 12th Aviation Battalion, similar to this one, collided in flight.
It was a fairly experienced crew, and it was doing a required annual night evaluation. They did have night vision goggles.
There was not a breakdown in communication between the military helicopter and American airline flight. There was communication between the aircraft and the tower.
Among the PSA jet's passengers, several athletes, coaches, and family members returning from a development camp with U.S. figure skating. In a statement, the governing body said it is devastated by this unspeakable tragedy. At the White House, President Donald Trump addressing the tragedy.
As one nation, we grieve for every precious soul that has been taken.
But he also pointed fingers.
I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. The FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so.
When asked for evidence why DEI could be a factor.
Because I have common sense, okay?
This morning, the president appointed a former senior aviation official as the FAA's acting administrator. That role, among others at the agency, were left empty following resignations ahead of Trump taking office. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
As of now, first responders have not yet retrieved the cockpit voice recorder or the flight data recorder from the PSA jet. That, according to the NTSB. If found, the recorders will be given to the safety board for analysis.
Some Oklahoma representatives took to social media today expressing their sentiment. Governor Kevin Stitt posted to X, "Devastating news of the mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. Our hearts go out to the victims, their loved ones, and the first responders on the scene." Congressman Tom Cole also releasing a statement along with the GOP House Appropriations Committee saying, "Our hearts are with every passenger, their loved ones, and the first responders on the scene. As critical response and recovery operations continue, we are praying for strength for all," adding that Congress and the Appropriations Committee will closely coordinate with the NTSA, FAA, and DOD to ensure questions have answers.
The city of Norman now must come up with a partial payment of $2.1 million to the developers of University North Park Shopping Center. A Cleveland County judge issued the order after a hearing Tuesday. The shopping center's owners argued the city is withholding $5 million in tax revenue owed them as part of a tax increment financing agreement made with the city of Norman. Ward 7 Councilman Stephen Holman argues that the developers aren't entitled to the money because they failed to meet the criteria for payment.
Part of that negotiation was $5 million for an economic incentive for something that is new and unique to Norman and is also designed in a way that's walkable. I mean, I understand why they want it for sure. And it's reasonable that anybody would. It's just that development does not meet that standard, in my opinion.
We've reached out to the attorneys for the developer and have not heard back. This is an ongoing legal battle, and we'll be following this in our newsrooms. And Norman police arrested a man today in connection to a string of burglaries around Norman.
Last night at 1 a.m., Landon Appleby was arrested while trying to attempt a burglary. Appleby admitted to being involved in 15 incidents where he entered or attempted to go into houses. During one of those occurrences, he sexually assaulted someone. Appleby was booked into the Cleveland County Detention Center on one complaint of rape in the first degree and 10 complaints of burglary in the first degree and more. We will keep you updated as we find out those details.
Now moving on to some weather, there's been a little bit of a drizzle the past few days.
OU Nightly meteorologist Brendan Jackson joins us live in the studio with an update. Brendan, are we still seeing that rainfall?
No, not right now. We're really not. We saw it over the last couple days, especially east of I-44. Down here, we got rainfall totals up over an inch in the southeastern part of the state. Not a ton across the metro, but still enough to be, piling up on the roads. We saw that yesterday, especially. Now, across the state, we're looking at mid-50s right now. Pretty mild. Those temperatures are going to rise up later into the weekend as well. We're going to see some fire danger and the continuing of that overnight fog.
Thanks, Brendan. And more hostages have been released to Israel following the ceasefire with Hamas. Clay Webster has that and the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
Today, 8 more hostages were released by Hamas as part of a ceasefire agreement with Israel. Israel says in return it released 110 Palestinian prisoners after a delay over what officials called unacceptable conditions in Khan Yunis, where the handover happened. In total, Hamas is set to return 33 hostages in Israel in exchange for 2,000 prisoners. Israeli officials say 8 of the 33 hostages held by Hamas have already died. And 3 more nominees for President Trump's cabinet faced harsh bipartisan criticism from senators at hearings today. President Trump's pick for Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., and FBI Director Kash Patel will both be blocked if 3 Republican senators dissent. And Tulsi Gabbard, set to be Director of National Intelligence, will be blocked if just 1 Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee votes no. And the future of the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency remains uncertain. President Trump has yet to name someone to head the agency for the first time in its history. Created by Trump in 2018, the agency serves to protect the country's critical infrastructure, including voting machines. Critics of the agency, including Trump himself, blame it for mismanaging voter fraud during the 2020 election. And Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum sent a letter to Google today asking them not to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Hallie, Abby, back to you.
Thanks, Clay. Tuberculosis is on the rise. See what state this disease is infecting.
And what the State Department of Health is saying about it for Oklahomans.
Plus, see what health organizations are saying about your child's diet.
Stay tuned for tips on what healthy choices parents should make.
Health officials report one of the largest tuberculosis outbreaks in one of Oklahoma's bordering states. Kariana Gamboa has the details in today's Health Beat.
Kansas is facing one of the largest tuberculosis outbreaks in U.S. history. Health Department officials say 67 active cases have been reported in the Kansas City area in the past year. Here in Oklahoma, the State Department says there have been 9 reported cases this year and are closely monitoring the situation in Kansas. Right now, there is no evidence suggesting that the outbreak is directly impacting our state. Several Oklahoma schools are forced to cancel classes or move online because so many students and staff are out sick. Here's a list of those schools impacted. Many districts say their buildings will be deep cleaned while schools are closed. State health officials say the number of positive flu cases is about 4% above average for this time of year. A health research group releases new guidelines to help children and teens be healthier. Some of those recommendations include drinking plain water and milk instead of 100% juices or flavored milks, and avoid those sugary drinks and caffeine. And the FDA upgrades the Frito-Lay potato chips recall to the highest risk level due to undeclared milk in the company. Urges anyone who has recalled the chips to throw them out immediately.
Thanks, Kariana. The recent California wildfires have been some of the most deadliest and destructive in history.
Find out how the community is gathering together to support those who lost everything.
And higher temperatures with higher winds coming up soon, as well as more of that overnight fog. We'll be talking about that next. And welcome back to OU Nightly. Taking a look at how we're looking in Norman right now. 55 degrees, see some sun peeking through right now. Dew points at 47, that humidity very high right now. The wind's not too much of a factor. That humidity will be a factor overnight, though. 55 in many places around the metro right now, mid-50s all across the board. Now, here's that humidity coming in to be a factor. We're going to see some more fog overnight. You know, you saw it this morning driving to class. It was pretty dense, kind of hard to see. We got a pretty good chance of some dense fog across central Oklahoma. Outside of central Oklahoma, we're still probably going to see some fog. Likely not as heavy, however, but lows tonight, mid-30s for much of the state, 38 here in Norman, 40 in Tulsa. Tomorrow, we're going to see those temperatures rising up a bit higher than they were today, almost touching 60 here across the metro, definitely touching 60 in western Oklahoma, mid-60s in Lawton. Now, going further ahead than that, we're going to start drying out a bit. We saw those wetter conditions earlier in the week and even in the overnight hours. We're going to be below average as far as precipitation across much of the southern United States. Northern United States going to be a bit above average, however, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Now, taking a look at how this looks kind of all put together, we got that system we saw yesterday moving out of the way, bringing in some very, very calm conditions. Not really a whole lot going on over the next couple days as far as rain chances or even really clouds. It's going to be really sunny over the next couple days. What we are looking at are some pretty high wind gusts, though, over the weekend. Looking at gusts well up into the 20 mile an hour range across most of Oklahoma. That is going to bring in a bit of a fire risk as those dry conditions and those temperatures start rising up as well. We're going to see temperatures pretty well above average for much of the southern part of the United States, moving up into the northeast. Oklahoma being pretty much on the north edge of that. We are going to see temperatures well above average for this time of year here. Now, taking a look at our 7-day forecast, we see those temperatures rising up, touching 71 on Sunday. Those winds are going to be a bit of a factor. We're going to start dropping back down a bit moving later into the week. Wednesday is when we're going to see that next cold front move through, potentially some more clouds, maybe some precipitation there, but before then it's going to be dry and it's going to be warm and it's going to be overall really nice for the entire weekend.
That sounds great. I think maybe I'll get a little tan on this weekend.
That's a good idea. It's going to be perfect for it. The wind might be a little bit of an issue there, but really shouldn't be bad.
Okay.
And I don't know about y'all, but I am so excited to trade in that jacket for a t-shirt.
Oh,
Same.
me too. It's going to be first time in a while.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, well, thanks, Brendan. In Southern California, thousands are donating to help pick up the pieces after a devastating loss from historic wildfires earlier this month. Tonight, a long list of top performers are coming together for a benefit concert to help. Maribel Gonzalez has more from Inglewood, where the fundraiser is ready to kick off.
Don't lose me.
I promise I won't.
I won't lose you, don't worry.
As the Eaton fire exploded in Altadena on January 8th, residents, including this 100-year-old woman, were guided out of their homes as thick smoke from the fire moved in.
Oh my gosh.
The historic wildfires, fueled by hurricane-like winds, ravaged through entire neighborhoods in Los Angeles County.
This was a passport. So now I don't even have a passport.
Considered among the most destructive and deadliest in the state's history, the Eaton and Palisades fire claimed at least 29 lives and collectively destroyed more than 16,000 structures. In this time of need, hundreds coming together to help those affected.
We'll be here until everything runs out or until the community doesn't need it anymore.
And now, a benefit concert to help those who lost everything. were many who lost their homes, churches, and businesses during this disaster. Now another trial ahead of them.
A lot of people are in that boat right now where maybe the fires have gone away, but there's just so much that comes after.
What took days to burn will likely take years to rebuild.
Once debris is cleared, the rebuilding process begins, and the planning and design can start now.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
The concerts begin at 8 p.m. today. You'll be able to catch everything on streaming platforms, including Netflix, Peacock, and Amazon Prime. And I heard Oklahoma women's basketball will be visiting a zoo this weekend.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Well, not quite a zoo, but there will be a tiger on campus. And the Sooners will need to bring some Sooner magic for this matchup against one team who is known to bring out their claws. Next up in sports. Hello, I'm Brooke Griggs, and it's time for sports. It's the start of a new era for Oklahoma women's basketball with a new rivalry underway against the LSU Tigers. The Sooners travel to Louisiana as underdogs tonight. LSU is ranked 7th in the AP Top 25 poll, while OU is ranked 13th. But never underestimate an underdog. OU is 15-0 when holding opponents under 80 points, and this team knows this game won't be a walk in the park. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m.
Life doesn't always give you a 1 week notice that you get to relive the same thing. We're going to go to LSU and have the same environment. Not the same team, not the same style of play, different coaches, different players, but same environment. And we weren't ready for that environment. So now we know what we got to get ready for in terms of environment.
Now to the pros. The Oklahoma City Thunder clapped and the Golden State Warriors clapped back in last night's matchup. The Warriors overcame a 14-point deficit, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 52 points weren't even enough to save the game with a final score of 116-109. Golden State.
Me personally, I play to win, and winning comes first and foremost, and if I don't win, I'm not satisfied. So maybe my 52 points tonight wasn't in the best interest of the team, whatever it is. I'll watch the game over, see where I could have been better, and try to win the game is most important for me.
Sooner alumni Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are looking for their third win against Cleveland. Trae's team is 2-0 against the Cavs. And after a 6-game losing streak, Ice Trae will need to bring the ice tonight. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. And the Lakers play the Washington Wizards with star player LeBron James listed as questionable due to an injury. Austin Reeves will need to bring his Sooner magic to defeat the Wizards at 7 p.m. And there's a triple threat in Norman. Oklahoma's softball Abigail Dayton, Ella Parker, and Cassidy Pickering were chosen for the preseason All-SEC team. Parker and Pickering are two standout sophomores who are national champions from the 2024 season. Dayton is a Utah transfer who is a two-time Pac-12 first-team honoree. And then track and field is underway. The Oklahoma men and women's teams will host the annual J.D. Martin Invitational tomorrow. Both teams are ranked top 10 nationally in the NCAA D1 Track and Field Rating Index. Open field events will start at 9 a.m. Abby, Hallie.
Thanks, Brooke. Coming up, a reunion that will melt your heart.
And how never losing hope can bring a man to his best friend.
I'm Elle Gedman at the OU Nightly Update Desk. The State Department of Education is investigating an Oklahoma school district over what it calls serious allegations. State Superintendent Brian Walters says Okmulgee Public Schools faces complaints including teacher misconduct and abuse. No specifics have been released. I have not yet heard back from the district. Abby, Hallie.
Thanks, Elle. They call a dog a man's best friend for a reason.
A man from Arizona was reunited with his dog after he went missing 8 years ago in Oklahoma. The reunion was filled with puppy love for Paul Gilbolt and his dog Damien.
Gilbolt was driving to California when he got a call from a woman in OKC who found Damien. Damien recognized Gilbolt immediately, and it was as if no time had passed.
Oh, what a sweet reunion that is, guys.
Yeah, and speaking of reunions, tell us more about that reunion with the Sun this weekend.
Oh, the Sun's coming back in a big way. We're going to see temperatures getting all the way up into the 70s over the weekend. That sun going to stick around all the way until Tuesday, We're going to drop back down into the 60s after the weekend, but still going to be an absolutely beautiful day.
Thank you for watching OU Nightly. I'm Hallie McPherson.
And I'm Abby Hollinsworth. Be sure to watch OU Nightly live weekdays at 4:30. Good night.